You can be successful and have a porn addiction as well, but you cannot be successful in every single area of your life all the time while struggling with the porn addiction.
Even the most loyal woman who's trying to make it work will get tired at some point and will leave.
Just take action, man. Do not keep waiting. The bigger problem here is that you're living a life that's not aligned with your values. Oh, David, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time to be on this call with me. I know you are pretty busy, as pretty much everybody here in this organization, but yeah, thank you. Thank you, David. I have a ton of questions for you. But first of all, I want you to share your story with the group, because I think guys don't really know who they're talking to. You have a background as a competitive dancer, correct?
Right, that's right, bro.
And you have like 5, 6 awards, like you competed like seriously. Would you like to tell us more about that?
Sure, man. Yeah, well, thank you for making the time, and doing this for the community, bro. And yeah, so my background is, I was a professional dancer, when I was younger. I was, between my 20s to I actually started dancing when I was 10 years old, all the way to my 30s, I would say. And I competed, in salsa, Latin dances, salsa, bachata, and with my partner. And we did a lot of competitions back then, like world competitions. So we had a chance to win 6 times, in a world competition. So it was an interesting time. And yeah.
So I'm guessing, I don't know, because I'm actually, I don't dance. I don't know anything about that. But I've had, I have a background in music, playing bands and all that stuff. And I'm pretty sure you had a lot of ladies chasing you, because being a world champion is not something that you wake up one day and then you're suddenly a champion. You got to work your way up, right? And then you are successful at what you do, and women notice that. They can feel that. Did you have a lot of success among the ladies?
Yeah, that's something that I definitely I thought it was a really great thing for me at that time, right? Because I was just enjoying my life, traveling, all over the world, and girls were part of it, right? Like, as you said, like, especially when you make a name, in the dance scene, it's much easier to get access to, to women, right? Because, like, not to brag or anything, but I didn't have to even look for them. They will come to me just because of my title, right? And it's like, hey, I want to be with you. And like, okay, so yeah, it was very easy to, just to be with anyone that pretty much I wanted at that time, bro.
So throughout your career, when you were actually competing, were you single at a time?
I had some times, like some seasons, like I had like a relationship, like it was never something really serious, but I was like on and off in relationships.
Okay. So
yeah,
real quick, because this is a genuine question. Did you used to struggle with porn addiction or sex addiction as well?
Yeah, for sure, man. At that time, of course, I didn't know anything about like this was a problem. Like many of the men that we help, right? Like we believe that it's normal, we'll believe it's natural, everybody does it. I have exactly the same beliefs, right? And I didn't even know, right? Like why I was doing like like things like when I was doing well, like even though I would still have, like sex with any woman that I wanted, I was still actually watching pornography. Like a routine, like normal thing for me.
Like a day-to-day thing, right?
Yeah. I would still like have sex and then watch my porn, masturbation. I would still like do that. Right.
Right. The other day we were talking with JK, and he mentioned something that actually one of our clients said, that he realized that he was using porn as a supplement. Like first thing in the morning, he would go watch porn and then continue with the rest of his day. And he didn't notice that he was actually using that to cope with all the stress that he was going to experience throughout his day, right? So I'm guessing that, I've never competed in such a high level, but I'm guessing that you can only aim for excellence if you want to become a world champion 5, 6 times, right? So how did you use, or what strategies did you have at the moment to cope with all that pressure?
Yeah, well, at that time, I didn't even know about, like, I was using pornography as a coping, right, mechanism, because for me also was like doing it, like every day. And yes, in order to be, on the top, there's a lot of pressure, like a lot of, expectations, because, when you win one time, the next year you have to be better, next year even better, right? So it's a lot of pressure. And at a time, I didn't even know that I was using pornography to cope with all that pressure, stress and, the expectations that people had for me, right? And I was using pornography to cope. That was my medication,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And the sex, right? And the sex with women, like, just go and have sex and release and like essentially
like to
my pornography, masturbation, sex.
just to relax, right? So
Yeah.
you can, just face the day-to-day life being more relaxed. That's one of the biggest misconceptions, actually. But David, we're going to touch on a critical point here, because you can be successful and have a porn addiction as well, but you cannot be successful in every single area of your life all the time while struggling with the porn addiction, right? So fast forward, you got married, right? You're the only Reboot strategist who's actually married. What made you realize that this was a problem?
I think at some point there was many nights that I would really reflect, on my behavior. It's when I noticed that it was a problem, right? Like, because I think that we all have that moment that you really you cannot lie to yourself anymore, and you say, you know what, I think this is a problem, right? So I got that. At some point, I was in China at that moment, and right after I had sex with a girl in China, she left, my apartment, and I was just sitting, man. And I was like, I think I have a problem, because I have a sex addiction as well. And then I started crying, man. I started crying in because I feel like so lonely. Like even though after having sex with a woman, right? I feel so empty. That's the word. I feel like so empty and like there's something that is really missing, like I can have all the women that I want, the sex that I want, but at the end of the day, I feel empty. And I was just crying like a fucking baby, man. Like, no, and that's when I say, you know what? I gotta do something about it, because I was successful, like you said, in different aspects. Like in my career, I was on the top. I was making good money, I was traveling all the world, but I was alone. I was empty, and of course I wanted to, be with a woman that I could share, my life, not just about sex, but to actually have that deep connection, deeper connection and real intimacy. Because a lot of men they would say, my friends, when I would tell them, oh yeah, I'm with this woman here and there from different countries, they were, oh, that's amazing. But at the reality is that I never really experienced real intimacy all those years. Like it was just like pure, like just sex, and that's it, empty, right? So I was lacking of that, right? So that's when I really reflect on myself, and because I wanted to have that, that's when I decided I gotta do something about my behavior, right?
Let's dive a bit deeper into that for the brothers in the group who are looking to get married or already married and struggling with porn addiction. How would you describe your life as a married man right now compared to when you were single and having sex with all these chicks and just being hooked on porn?
Well, one thing that also I can share is, when I speak with men who are about to get married, right, and they're still struggling with this addiction. Before I get married, I actually work on my behavior, right? I also worked on my reboot, and because I wanted to just get rid of this behavior before I get into any relationship, like serious relationship, right? So I worked on that, and because I knew that if I bring it into the marriage, that's not gonna be good. We know that, right? And so I worked on that, and then I also realized that there was a lot of potential that I was not hitting, like that I was not achieving. I thought I was achieving my true potential at that moment, but as soon as I rewired my brain, man, I discovered like so much thing that I was capable of. Like I never thought about it, right? Which one of the things was like being committed to one relationship, like be with one woman, be loyal, be faithful, respectful, right? I didn't know that I could do that because of my behavior in the past, right? So when I met my wife, now that it's my wife, like I was already working on those, good things, good traits that I want to have. And I realized that, like I was able to do it, right? So in terms of speaking about intimacy, I cannot, compare at all. Like if you're already have real intimacy, right, and you used to struggle with the same addiction, that it's a huge difference between just having sex or having sex and just you want to just come and that's it, and actually having real intimacy with your partner, like
Yeah,
deeper connection is completely different, right?
absolutely. I would say a quick caveat for those of you who are watching and are single and looking to get into a relationship. it's very tempting to believe that if you get a girlfriend, just ending your behavior is going to be easier because then you'll have your needs met, right? But the thing that most guys don't realize is that when you're struggling with a porn addiction, your need for a relationship is so heavy that you might end up in a bad relationship just to fill that void. And then that relationship can mess with your head so bad that you need more porn to cope with the fact that you're in a shitty relationship. And it just creates this vicious cycle that seems to have no end. So
yeah, exactly, bro. And actually, I'm glad that you touched that because that's also a limited belief that a lot of men, have that the lack of intimacy. That's why they use porn and masturbation. Actually, for a lot of men, yes, of course, right? But many, that's not the case. If that was the case, I would never be get addicted to porn because I was having a lot of sex. I was having a lot of women, and yet I was still watching pornography, masturbating, right? And so that's one, like false belief that men have. Like when they say, well, I think if I have a girl, then I'm never gonna watch porn. That's a lie, pretty much, if you've been struggling for many years, right? Because that's completely different. The other thing is when we connect the dots, like you were talking about choosing the wrong woman, right? The wrong relationship, and just because out of desperation, you just want to be with someone and you just go there and pick whatever you want, right? Whoever is there available. And then that's what also was happening to me. Exactly that. Like I was just choosing any. Sometimes it would not be even beautiful. Sometimes seriously, I'm just on it. Like it would be like whoever is available, I would just do it. Right. And that's what, and I will have all those negative feelings like emptiness and even shame. Like when I would, just look at what I'm doing and like, what the hell am I doing? Right. Like why I'm doing this. And all those, negative emotions, it would just lead me back to what? Watch pornography. That's how I was, coping with that.
Coping
because
with it's a cycle.
Just a cycle. Like I will have sex, I feel alone, empty, and then I go watch pornography again, and then that leads me to the same shit. So it was.
Absolutely. And not only that, you're putting your health at risk. Do you remember the story of this client who actually, hooked up with a person and then he got an STD and he was married. He was married and he had to tell his wife because she had to get tested. And that is a heavy thing to go through as a married man, like getting your wife in front of you and telling her that you not only had been unfaithful, but now there's a chance that she picked up a venereal disease because of your fucked up behavior, because you haven't done anything for years and years, even knowing that you had a problem. So guys, please don't do that.
Yeah, and don't fool yourself, guys, because you know that even if we protect ourselves, right, using condoms, that's not 100%, safe.
No.
We all know that. There's always, a chance that we can get something, and because I was like very active, sexually active with, bro, I was always living with fear. Seriously, like every 6 months I would have to do a test, hoping and praying, like, I was shitting on my pants, like hopefully I didn't get anything this time. And then 6 months, again, the same shit. 6 months after, the same shit. Bro, what kind of life is that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So as a married man, David, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions or mistakes that married men who are struggling with the porn addiction tend to do?
One of the biggest one is, and this is coming from a lot of men that I speak with, right? Married men. They think that, well, there's different situations when the wives, they don't know anything about it and they hide it. One of the false belief, like they think they would never find out. Their spouse will never find out because they're really good at hiding it, right? So, but the reality is that the truth always comes out. It's just a matter of time, and we know that, right? That's one thing. The other situation is when their wife stays, they know about it and they've been supported. They've been trying to, just to make it work, trying to help them, right? And the brothers, they believe the wife is always going to be there. And that's not true. They think that the wife will never leave them. So one thing that I want to share is like, not because she's always been there doesn't mean that she will always be there. Even the most loyal woman who's trying to make it work will get tired at some point and will leave.
Yeah. Absolutely. And there's also a very real thing that, the spouses of guys struggling with porn addiction, my experience, which is betrayal trauma. They feel like if you have actually cheated on them, they might feel that. And if the trust is broken that level, that's very hard to recompose that relationship. It's very hard to get it back on track. And the guys, in my case, I've been chatting with some married men as well. And yeah, they say, no, my wife is keeping me accountable. That's a terrible idea. They feel like they have to babysit you. You're stupid
Yeah.
enough for being hooked on porn in their eyes. And now you're asking them to like watching you so you don't touch your dick. Don't do that, man. Get a real
Yeah.
accountability partner. Get real help. She cannot help you.
Yeah. She's not your mom. You know what my wife think about that. When I share, she knows exactly what I do, and also because I told her that I used to struggle with this behavior, she tells me that if I would have met you when you were still struggling, that would be a no-no for me right away. Like she's honest, like because she said like it's a turn off for a woman like me, right? That knowing that you're 36 years old and you start jerking off like a teenager, like you cannot control your behavior, and that I have to be watching you all the time to make sure that you behave properly.
Yeah.
That's a turn off, for a woman. That's nobody wants to sign up for that. So and then I say, yeah, that's true. Because it's not their responsibility, right? It's our
Yeah.
responsibility.
Just
But
imagine, like, hey, David, she comes back from work, 8 p.m. David, have you jerked off today? Too bad. Like, now go to your room.
yeah,
There's no dinner. Like, no,
nothing their punishment. Like,
yeah, that's
yeah,
no, absolutely,
no.
absolutely. So, David, I'm really, really curious. This is a genuine question, man. Like, how did you decide that you wanted to do something else, and how did you actually become a reboot strategist?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because first of all, because I struggle with this behavior, right? I totally understand like what it feels like, like all the lies that we tell ourselves, like all the denial stage that we go through, like trying to rationalize, trying to make justification, just try to bullshit ourselves essentially to stay with the behavior, right? So I really understand that. And when I went through my reboot process, and was able to overcome it, like I still, of course, it didn't happen overnight, but I still making progress. I feel a huge difference, like in my life, and I knew that it was possible, right, with the right guidance, with the right support. JK's essentially been my biggest mentor, my main mentor for this, so I learned a lot from him, and I know that it is possible, right, to overcome it. Now, that's one of the reasons why I decided to become a reboot strategist, because well, a man that is coming from a place that it was a dark place, now being on the other side of the table, I have the certainty that it's doable. And that's what I want to transfer to men when I speak with them, because especially when there's a lot of lack of hope, because trying over and over again just to go back to the behavior feels like sometimes like hopeless, right? So it's important to have someone who's been there, done that, like our, head coach, JK, like he's been there, done that. But you have to have that so that you can believe that it's possible, right? And just to have that, to transfer that certainty that, hey man, it's not gonna be easy, of course, right? But it's possible if you really want it, and that's why I wanted to do this, man, because just wanted to share that I was there, but now I'm on the other side of the table. Just want to show you that it's possible, man. Like I was a man that I thought I was never get married, bro. Seriously. I thought that I was gonna be like alone for the rest of my life because of my behavior. I never thought I could commit to anyone, like to be loyal, to be faithful. Like, but now here I am. I've been married 5 years with my beautiful wife, brother. I've been, like not watching porn, nothing at all, because now I changed my identity, and now I have a different lifestyle completely.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your 5 years of being married and also being free of your behavior. It's not an easy thing, but I think that when you have the right support and just people that can keep you accountable with compassion, and I think that's one of the things that I really like about elevator recovery is that we do everything with compassion. Yeah, we might yell at you and just give you some shit. Maybe you're
Yeah.
lying to yourself, but it's always with compassion because we've been where these guys are right now. We've been through the process and we know it's actually not as easy as some guys believe. So thank you, David, for sharing
Welcome,
that.
brother.
Now, what would be the number one advice that you would give to someone who's looking to end their behavior with porn and masturbation? It doesn't matter if they're single or married, whatnot. just to a general
Yeah.
man who comes to our group, they're looking for something to end or control their behavior. What's the number one advice you would give to them?
Well, the first thing is obviously, accepting, like that you have a problem and accepting that you need professional help, right? If you're those guys that you're still trying to fix it, on your own, trying to figure out on your own, I mean, be my guest. You can spend years to do that. If you have the time, go for it. It's your life, right? I personally recommend you not to do that because I did that. I like tried myself like years and I spent years trying on my own, right? That's my recommendation for sure. But the second thing is, once you know that you cannot do it on your own, just be willing to do whatever is necessary, like everything that is in your power, right? Because there's always gonna be so other things in your life. We all have things to do in our lives. We have different priorities, right? And a lot of men, when I talk to them and they say, "Yeah, I'm too busy doing this and this and that. I'm gonna start with my reboot. When I have the time, I'm gonna be 100% committed to that." Guess what? You cannot be 100% committed to something because we all have a lot of different things to do. It's always just gonna be a part of your time that you have to put in, and that's how you're gonna get started. But if you're just waiting like for the perfect time, like, okay, I can commit 100%, that will never come because there's always other things to do in our lives, right? So just if I could give one advice is like, don't wait any longer. If you already know that you have a problem and that you cannot do it on your own, what the hell are you waiting for? Like, why do you keep waiting for? Why is that's again like just lying to ourselves, like, yeah, I can do this, I can do this later. Why you keep wasting your years of your life? Just do
Yeah.
it. Do you know they have a problem? You need any help? Do it. That's it. Like,
Guys, there are some guys who have this tendency to want to like clean house a little bit before joining. Like, oh, my behavior is so bad right now, but it maybe I don't want these guys to think I'm a freak or I'm a creep. So I'm gonna fix it. Just this little part so that when I join the program, it's not going to look so bad. Guys, we've seen it all. We eat this for breakfast.
yeah,
Once you know you have a problem, once you identify that, yeah, maybe you can do it on your own, but it's gonna take you like 5 years, 10 years of an unnecessary struggle. Let's just take action, man. Whatever that looks like for you, if not with us, with someone else, but take action. Do not
yeah,
keep waiting because your life is
yeah.
gonna pass and you're not going to solve the problem. Okay, so
Exactly.
you were very, very successful, right? And you had a lot of people probably who came up to you and said, "Hey, I really admire you. I admire your
Yeah, yeah.
talent and your dedication." And how did you feel, about having this behavior in your life and having people looking up to you at the same time? Did you feel a little bit like an imposter?
Oh yeah, man. Like pretty much all the time, because I always, like just pretend that actually I was, like just doing like everything good, right? Just putting a mask on and be that successful guy, that role model. And this is also something that I notice often. I found like, when we talk with, like business owners, entrepreneurs, professionals, right? And they're doing pretty good. Like people look up at them, right? I feel exactly the same way. Like people come to me and say, "David, you're a really good guy. You're successful, this and that." Bro, if they knew what I was doing, closed door, like if they would open my brow history and look at the shit that I was looking, that would probably say something different, right? So, but of course, like I would never say anything. But because of that, because I knew, like deep down, I knew it would cause me to feel like imposter syndrome, man. Because I knew that they were saying great things, but closed doors, I was not that person that they believed that I was, that I really was. So, but yeah, it was not a good feeling, just to feel like, like a hypocritical. You know what I mean?
I'm guessing it's not easy to live with all these contrasting emotions. Like you feel successful on one hand, but on the other hand, you have a lot of problems that you're not talking about. You're not solving them as well. You have this behavior that if anybody would find out the kind of things that you were watching, like they would say, this guy is like, I mean, he should be, left out of the competition, something like that, because people are very judgmental, right? It's not that bad, but
Yeah, yeah,
if you openly would have to say like, yeah, I watch porn every day to cope with all these difficult emotions, they would say it's wrong. And it's wrong, but at the same time, you can't
yeah.
stop. So you have all these mixed emotions. But My experience is very similar as well.
Yeah. And I think, for a lot of men, probably also like you and me, myself, right, and a lot of brothers, like that they are successful is that because of these negative emotions, right, that we know that, and we feel bad because even people don't know, right? They don't know, but we know. And the not being able to look at yourself in the mirror and genuinely say, you know what, man, like I'm proud of yourself. Like I respect you, man. Like you're a good man, right? Because we know our shit. We know that there's a shadow behind it. And I think all those emotions, we suppress them because we hide them. We don't even say anything. We talk, we try to not even think about it. But unconsciously, subconsciously, we know that. And we are just suppressing all those negative emotion. We just taking and taking and taking it. And at some point, of course, how are we gonna that's when we like relapse. That's when we go back to it because that's how we coping with all those negative emotions. The other thing is it's connected.
Absolutely.
Right.
If you are, for example, a CEO or a business owner, right? And you gotta stand up and talk to your employees, and you gotta tell them like, hey, you gotta be accountable for your actions. And if you said you were going to do this, and now you gotta do that, but behind closed doors, you're doing the same thing with your behavior. You have no authority. Like, yeah, you can try to project that authority, but deep inside of you, your unconscious mind knows
exactly
you're lying to them.
Exactly. They will follow you, your command because you are the CEO or whatever. But do you know, like deep down subconsciously, like you're full of shit that you're trying to lead someone, be a role model when you're actually not in alignment with your principles and your values. And I think that's what it hits you really hard.
At that point, porn is not the problem. The bigger problem here is that you're living a life that's not
exactly
your values, and that's how you project yourself, and that's how you
exactly
not in alignment. Why do you think some guys like they reach out to us, they seem to be very committed to end the behavior, and at the last minute they back up and they want to go back to?
Yeah, yeah. I deal with this every day. Men who come to us, fill out the application, they say that this is 10 out of 10, like important, right? When it's time to actually pull the trigger and committing, get started and rock and roll, they always come up with something, right? Like let me wait, let me consider, let me think about it. And I would say the biggest reason why people they want to still like wait, and sometimes it doesn't even make sense when they're about to lose their wives. That's the crazy thing, the irony. They know that their wife is gonna leave if they don't change, and yet they want to continue thinking about it, trying to do it or not. I think the main reason is because they don't, and I don't even like to use this word rock bottom, hit rock bottom, because you and I both know that there's always things can get worse. If nothing changes, things can always get worse, always, right? So for me, there is not really rock bottom, but for them, they're waiting for that actually. And it's crazy, because like, why are you waiting for you to, like your wife is gone with your kids, right? Why are you waiting for you to get caught and go to jail? Like, are you waiting for that, man? And they say no, but the actions and alignment, the words are not alignment. Yeah. So they say no, but they're waiting for that. And they come, unfortunately, after that happens, like they come back. And then when I ask them, so what happened, bro? Yeah, guess what happened with my wife? Yeah, she's gone. Now let me take this seriously. Why do it? Why were you waiting to that point so that now you take it seriously? So brothers, they hesitate because they think they're not in a really bad place. They think actually, because sometimes they are, and they still want to lie to themselves that they're not in a bad place. And that's why they keep procrastinating until they really see like the shit, then that's when they want to take actions. But that's why they keep waiting.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of people who need to feel such a big pain to only then to take action, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I think that most of them have actually felt that pain, but they got so used to feeling so bad all the time that that's their comfort zone. They don't know what to expect from life if they don't have this pain in it anymore. So yeah, man, that's a really, really good point.
Yeah, it's that, right? And the other one that that I notice a lot is the fear of not having porn masturbation. Like actually, that's one of the biggest like unconscious, subconscious roadblock for many men. Because they don't know a life without it. They like some of them they stop for a few days, few weeks, but they always go back to it. And the reality is that they don't really know a life without it. So the fear of losing that, like that instant gratification, right? That's so powerful. They're so attached to that that's why they know they could lose their wives. That's the irony. They know they could lose their family, but they're more afraid to lose their freaking porn and masturbation addiction than losing their family.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. That's not like wow, because they're so afraid to lose that. For sure. Same thing with the longer you wait, the older we get, the harder it becomes to rewire the brain. Same thing.
Yeah.
Right? If you're 20, 25, it's going to be much easier to rewire your brain than a man who is, 70 years old. For sure. It is possible. It's going to take more work, for sure. Right? So why waiting?
There's a quote I really like that says, the best time to do this was yesterday. The second best time is today.
Exactly. It's like, and we've seen that, Gaspar, when men that come to us like 70 years old, 80 years old, right? And they trying to end the behavior at that age. I mean, like it takes courage to do that, right? Respect for these men, but at the same time, it's sad. Like looking at these men, and when you ask them, like the whole life it's been single, never had a relationship, never had like real intimacy. That's sad. Like, why will you wait until you are like so old to actually do something? Yeah. Right. So that's why I say the biggest, advice I say, do not waste your time, brother. Right. Like when you have a system to follow, the right guidance, the right support, that's going to save you a lot of years of your life, like trying to figure out. And more importantly, all the opportunities that you're missing out on because of this behavior. I missed out on a lot of good relationships, a lot of good things in my past too. Right. So those are things are gone. You will never be able to recover those things. So it's the time that we're missing, like the opportunities that we're missing out on relationships, sometimes even in your career, career opportunities that you're letting go. Sometimes you will never recover that. Right. So
I agree. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Thank you very much, David. Before we leave, I think everybody in this group wants to hear that. What can a rebooted man expect for his life to look like after he's recovered from this addiction?
Yeah. Well, speaking from my own experience is what it gave me, when like when I become a rebooted man was the belief in myself, right? Just knowing that every single day, when I go to bed, knowing that I'm in alignment with my words and my actions, and a lot of we can all speak very nice and say a lot of good things, and we're gonna do this and this and that, but the action sometimes doesn't align with what we said, right? Or sometimes we do certain things, but closed doors we're actually doing something completely that it's not in alignment with what we say, right? So as a rebooted man, I know that every time I go to bed and I reflect on my day, I know that I'm in alignment. Of course, nobody's perfect. Like sometimes we do some shit, and we make mistakes, of course. But you actually do everything that is in your power to fix it or to be in alignment with what you want in your life, right? So I think that's for me pretty much what it's giving me the conviction and the certainty that I'm in alignment, and of course I want to keep growing, and that's what it's giving me. It gave me that self-assurance that if I overcame this problem that was really difficult, that it gave me a lot of promise in my life, anything else in life, I can overcome that too, right? Because I overcome this problem. So it gave me that assurance, the certainty that I'll be okay, bro. No matter what happens in my life, I'll be fine because I believe in me. I trust myself, right?
Powerful, powerful. Thank you very much, David, for sharing this with us, for sitting down with me and having this conversation. I'm going to let you go. I know you have a lot of calls after this, but I thank you very much, guys. If you want to talk to David, if you say like, okay, I have a similar story and I want to chat with David, just hit him up on Facebook. I'm going to leave the link to his calendar in the comment section as well. And yeah, let me know if you want to connect with him. I'll put you in touch. David, thank you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.